Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And tonight's Raw was held from the Times Union Center in Albany, New York. And I gotta say, tonight's Raw, I thought it was a piece of shit show. It was utter fucking garbage, and the show just fucking sucked tonight. Really did. But the show opened up with Kurt Angle coming out saying that, you know, Ronda Rousey will be competing for the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank against Nia Jax. There's going to be a contract signing tonight. And Stephanie McMahon returns and ends up coming out saying, you know, what happened at WrestleMania, you know, with her and Kurt and, you know, Ronda Rousey. You know, it's all water under the bridge. And she says, you know, she is a leader and a business person. And she's basically just doing what's best for business. She ends up saying tonight, you know, she will be presiding over the contract signing between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. And Steph says, you know, Kurt's been given too much latitude to Roman Reigns and that, you know, it has to end tonight. And so Roman Reigns ends up coming out, you know, saying if Stephanie, you know, has something to say, that she should say it to him. And he also says to Steph that she should show respect to him. And if she doesn't, he's going to go to the back and, you know, destroy some superstars. He ends up saying that, you know, Stephanie doesn't want him anywhere near the Universal title or the Money in the Bank contract. And Stephanie says that Roman lost his qualifying match. And she tells him to take it up with Jinder Mahal. And Roman says to her that, you know, he did. He ended up taking it up with Jinder Mahal. If you remember last week, Roman Reigns attacked Jinder Mahal, you know, in the beginning of Raw. You know, I didn't see that part last week because I was out in the city and saw that clip on their YouTube channel where they post the Raw clips. And basically also last week we saw you know, Roman end up spearing Jinder through a wall, you know, which was kind of funny. But you know, I guess that's what Roman probably said when he said, you know, he did take it up with Jinder Mahal. And so Kevin Owens ends up coming out and says, you know, him winning Money in the Bank contract is what's best for business. And this is where WWE probably forced Kevin Owens to say this just to get Roman Reigns over and for the crowd to, you know, cheer for Roman, but it's not going to happen. You know, it's never going to happen because people are sick of Roman Reigns. You know, fans are sick of him. And he goes on to say that, you know, after last week, he really likes Roman Reigns. Oh God, just to get Roman over. They do it for Roman. And then Kevin Owens starts telling the crowd to chant, you know, thank you, Roman. Basically, WWE wanted the crowd to get behind Roman. Not working. Stop forcing the crowd to cheer for Roman. He's not going to get over. WWE has been trying that for a while, and it's failing. It's failing, you know, right in their faces. And Steph says, you know, she's making a match. You know, she's making a match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, which happened, you know, after the commercial break. Basically, this whole first hour of Raw was basically to Roman Reigns. That's basically what it was. And, you know, the Roman lovers probably loved the hell out of this first hour. But us fans did not. So So there we go. The first match, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, was slow in the beginning. Then it, picked up a little bit, but all in all, wasn't that good of a match in my opinion. What was kind of cool was Roman Reigns actually speared Kevin Owens outside of the ring, and then Jinder Mahal ended up coming down and beating up on Roman. Jinder ended up causing the match to be the disqualification. Then we saw Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal end up beating down on Roman. Seth Rollins ended up coming out. The crowd was cheering for Seth. Big pop for him. Big pop for Seth Rollins. So Seth comes in and takes down Kevin Owens, Jinder Mahal, and Sunil Singh. And basically the match went to commercial. Then set up for a tag team match. Roman Reigns ended up tagging with Seth Rollins. So it was Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal and Kevin Owens. And the match itself, it was okay. Wasn't a great match by any means though. But when Seth Rollins ended up coming into the match, that's when the match really picked up. Just the crowd popped for Seth during the match. At the end of the match, Seth Rollins he ended up hitting the stomp to Kevin Owens. He tried it the first time. Owens got out of the way. Then Rollins hit it a second time. He got Kevin Owens. And so Seth Rollins ended up pinning Kevin Owens and win the match for him and Roman. So Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns win the match. Then you had after the match, Jinder Mahal ended up hitting Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins with a chair. Jinder actually knocked Seth off of the stage. Then he went to Roman and then just started hitting the chair shots to Roman. And basically that was it. All in all, it was an okay match, but wasn't great. Then we had what I consider the worst segment of the year. This was the Sami Zayn, bringing out Bobby Lashley's sisters, his three sisters, Kathy, Frances, and Jessica. And oh man, this segment was embarrassing. It was a piece of shit. It was a shitty segment. If you thought Bayley's "This Is Your Life" segment from last year was terrible, this segment made the Bayley "This Is Your Life" segment from last year look like a masterpiece. So Sami Zayn comes out. He brings out Bobby Lashley's sisters, which are names Kathy, Frances, and Jessica. And they were just guys, they were just guys dressed up as women. And probably the SJWs and the LGBT community is gonna get pissed off. At this segment. And it's just it was a piece of shit. You had I think it was Kathy who came out with a broom. Then you had I think Frances came out with like a helmet, and then I think the Jessica came out with a towel, which it looked like was dumped in shit, because it looked like it had shit stains all over the towel. So yeah, pretty much that's basically what this whole segment was. And these three men dressed as women were just talking shit about Lashley. Sami Zayn ends up saying that, Lashley is a delinquent and, delusional. Bobby Lashley finally comes out, says, he loves what Sami is doing, and that, Sami is a good friend for doing this. And so, Sami Zayn ends up saying to Lashley that, his family thinks he's garbage. Then we had Lashley, then attack Sami, but Sami and those three men dressed as ladies attacked Lashley, and then Lashley starts taking them all out. Basically, that was a segment. It was a piece of shit segment. It was fucking horrible. It was an embarrassing segment. If you watched this, you probably had to just shake your head, because you got to be like, what the fuck are we watching? It was a piece of shit. It made the Bayley This Is Your Life segment from last year look like a masterpiece. With Alexa Bliss in that segment, just bashing, Bayley, in that segment last year. Sorry about that, but I was saying this segment is a piece of fucking shit. Absolutely fucking embarrassing segment. Embarrassing to Sami Zayn, embarrassing to Bobby Lashley. Worst. This is officially the worst segment of this year. The absolute fucking worst. I mean, WWE, they should be embarrassed of themselves for making this segment, or whoever is in the WWE creating staff who writes this shit, they gotta be fucking embarrassed. We all know somebody's probably gonna get fired from putting out this segment. But yeah, enough of me talking about that segment. Piece of fucking shit segment. Then we had Alexa Bliss versus Ember Moon. Match wasn't that bad, in my opinion. It was actually entertaining from Ember Moon. Ember Moon was really enjoy Ember Moon in the match. She's one of my favorite women superstars. Follow her from NXT. Before the match even started, we had Alexa Bliss was being interviewed about going into a match with Ember Moon, and she talks about this Roman thing, talking about like the Roman times or some shit like that. And Alexa says, Ember Moon's Raw debut was different, and she says that tonight the Romans and Alexa will win. Okay. But the match itself, like I said, it wasn't that bad. Actually made it entertaining from because of Ember Moon. Ember Moon ended up winning the match. She had the Eclipse on Alexa Bliss. Of course, Mickie James was out there at ringside. She ended up being thrown out of ringside. So Ember Moon won the match clean. So wasn't that bad of a match. It was entertaining to me because of Ember Moon. Then we saw Stephanie McMahon backstage. Finn Balor and Braun Strowman come in. Finn says, to Stephanie that, he's looking for Kurt. And Finn goes on to say to Stephanie that they are both looking for a rematch between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Stephanie says, tonight Finn will take on Braun Strowman, because both of them are gonna, are in the Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank ladder match. And Braun, says, he likes competition. And then he squeezes a whole apple, which was crazy. You could show how strong and big Braun Strowman's hands are. When he says, get these hands. So pretty much, basically, that was that. Then we had Baron Corbin versus No Way Jose. This match was pretty boring, in my opinion. Making No Way Jose into a jobber. I knew this. I knew they were taking this. They were taking this route with No Way Jose and making him a jobber. Baron Corbin ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the deep six, and then he ended up hitting the end of days to No Way Jose to score the win. So Baron Corbin ended up winning the match. Boring match, in my opinion. Absolute boring. Then we saw Kurt Angle backstage with Chad Gable. Kurt says, Kurt says to Chad that he was going to replace Jinder with him. And Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre come. Chad says to both of them, that if they both think they're special. Drew McIntyre replies to him and says, we are. And then Kurt says, settle in the ring tonight, because Dolph Ziggler was talking smack to Chad Gable. And so, tonight, of course, it's going to be Dolph Ziggler versus Chad Gable. And then we see Kurt then I think he called Dolph a jackass, which was funny though. Then we had the B team, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel versus Breezango. This was a short match. It was nothing. It was nothing of a match. It was pretty short. It was pretty boring in my opinion. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel ended up getting the win. They double team. They did a double team to Fandango. So Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel win the match. Short match. It was nothing. It was a nothing match. Then we had the Ronda Nia contract signing. Stephanie McMahon was out for that. Sorry about that, but I was saying next was the Ronda Nia contract signing. Stephanie McMahon was out there. She introduces both Nia and Ronda Rousey. Ronda ends up saying to Steph, how is her arm? And Steph says, it's all right. And Stephanie says to Ronda, why is Nia challenging her? And she says, she has that Ronda hasn't competed in a title match. And Stephanie ends up saying to Ronda that Nia is more powerful than her, and that if Nia beats her at Money in the Bank, Nia will be the baddest woman on the planet. And basically it was just Stephanie taking more jabs to Ronda Rousey. So then we had Stephanie ends up calling Nia lazy, and she ends up telling Nia, how many seconds will it take Ronda to put her in an armbar? And Nia says that that Ronda can get the armbar on her. Nia ends up saying she will make a name for herself, and that she's gonna beat Ronda at Money in the Bank. So basically, we saw return of Nia, Nia being a heel. So that's pretty cool. And so Ronda says, she's happy that the truth came out of Nia, and that's okay. And so they end up both shaking hands, and Ronda says, she's going to take the title and Nia's arm. And pretty much that was the segment. They both signed the contract, so it's official. It's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank next month. So basically that was a segment. Then we had Dolph Ziggler versus Chad Gable. And right when Raw came back from the commercial, it looked like they started the match during the commercial. So, but the match itself, it was not that good, in my opinion. Pretty much, basically, it was a boring match, in my opinion. Dolph Ziggler ended up getting the win with a headbutt and a super kick to Chad Gable. So basically, that was the match. Then after the match, Drew McIntyre hits the Claymore kick on Chad Gable. So that was what happened after the match. But I like this pairing between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Really hope that that they give Drew McIntyre, future title shot. Because with Drew McIntyre, with Dolph Ziggler, they're giving Dolph Ziggler, more like heat. They're making Dolph look more stronger with Drew McIntyre by his side. So I really like what Drew McIntyre is delivering. So yeah, but all in all, the match wasn't that good. It was a pretty boring match, in my opinion. Then it was a Fatal 4-Way Money in the Bank qualifying match. It was Natalya versus Dana Brooke versus Sarah Logan versus Liv Morgan. And Ruby Riott was out there. And match itself, it was typical women's match. Wasn't that great of a match, but it was a qualifying match for another position in the women's Money in the Bank. Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. One part of the match, it looked like they were gonna, start, going at each other, but they ended up tricking the crowd, and so they end up taking out Natalya. Natalya ended up coming back, and Natalya ended up putting Sarah Logan in the sharpshooter, and Sarah Logan ended up tapping out, and so Natalya is now qualified for the women's Money in the Bank match. I think this is her third women's Money in the Bank match. So that's pretty cool. I wasn't expecting Natalya to win the match and qualify for the women's Money in the Bank. After the match, Natalya says, after Money in the Bank, her and Ronda Rousey are going to have, new names. She says Ronda is going to be the new Raw Women's Champion, and she, Natalya, will be Miss Money in the Bank. So that was the little interview that Natalya gave. Then we had Elias versus Bobby Roode once again. Elias, is out saying, he's been in WWE. Since he's been in WWE, the stock, has, risen. And it's basically, Elias doing his thing, singing. Bobby Roode ends up coming out during his, making his entrance. He's in the ring. He gets attacked from behind by Elias. Elias starts beating him down. Then the match starts. We've seen it before with these two. The match itself, it was not that good of a match, in my opinion. Elias ended up hitting the drift away on Bobby Roode to score the win. So Elias wins the match. Match was not good, in my opinion. Then after the match, Braun Strowman's music hits. Elias was making his way to the back. And then out of nowhere, you saw Strowman end up coming out and shoulder tackles Elias, knocking him down, which was pretty funny. I had to laugh at that when that happened. It was just so funny. But so the main event happened. It was Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor. This was a decent main event. It was an entertaining main event. Braun Strowman was good in the match. Was very funny too. Finn Balor really liked the match. He was decent. These two guys are gonna go, head to head, face each other in the Money in the Bank match. And you saw Braun Strowman do a sling blade. I think he hit the sling blade to Finn Balor hitting the sling blade to Braun Strowman on the outside of the ring, which Strowman was running, and then Finn Balor just came and then just did that on him, and it was really cool. He did that on the outside of the ring, outside of the ring. Then Braun Strowman ended up winning the match. He ended up hitting a running power slam to Finn Balor to score the win. And I said the match was a decent main event. It was very entertaining because of Braun Strowman and Finn Balor. You had, after the match, Strowman ended up putting Balor in the corner, and Strowman just stood in the center, and he raised his arms like that, and showing him a little respect for Finn Balor. So, but all in all, it was a decent match. It was a decent main event. Really enjoyed it. So, yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And there was big news today that I want to announce for my SmackDown review tomorrow night, which you probably all know about it if you've seen it today. So I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain that tomorrow in my SmackDown review, because it is SmackDown. It is SmackDown news, related. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. So yeah. So anyways, until my SmackDown review tomorrow, I'll see you then. Bye.